Kersti. Most people's least favorite character, but a character I find rather neat. But that's not what we're looking for today. The real thing we're trying to find today is, where the heck is she from? And I know, the Mushroom Kingdom isn't exactly a one-to-one accurate representation of the real world. But still, if we have Italian representation, Mexican representation, Arab, and heck, Mario Odyssey was a whole cornucopia of cultural representation. USA, Japan, Egypt, Mexico, and Russia. So, let's have some fun and try and figure out if we can pinpoint where our beloved prissy crown gal is from/would be from. Let's start with the most popular theory of the United Kingdom, which makes sense given how her speech pattern of being holier than thou, a proper lady, and prissy, to her acting like your typical preppy, spoiled rich girl, who you could definitely see in some rich girl, someone from like Oxford or whatever. And this seems to be the most favored one, as most people, when voicing her, give her a posh British accent. But there are two problems I have with this theory. For one, in Snowrise, she says that this is the first time she's seen snow, which, looking at snow data from the United Kingdom from before 2012, we see that in 2009, 2010, and 2011, both had nationwide snow coverage. So she most likely or definitely would have seen snow one of those 3 years. And secondly, the name Kersti isn't British at all, nor Germanic. It is in fact from across the channel in Estonia, a Uralic language. So if the UK theory is relevant, then maybe she's somewhere in Estonia? Well, no, as again, it may not snow too commonly in southern England, but it sure a fuck snows commonly in Esti. So despite her name origin, we'll have to look further, and instead of country of origin, we're gonna look at immigration patterns. And for this, we'll use her name as a reference, assuming her ancestry is of Nordic roots with at least Estonian DNA, as the name Kersti, at least with this spelling, is the Estonian way of spelling the name. And I'll use a population map I found on Wikipedia, as it was the only one I can find. Firstly, we have to look at Kersti as a character to get insight about her, as we need to deduce where she could possibly air from. Well, in 4.2 Iceflow, we learned that Kersti hasn't seen a penguin, given her lack of familiarity with them, so that cuts off Argentina, Australia, and basically the entirety of the southern hemisphere as a whole. Say you have penguins, so we can cut off all southern hemisphere countries. So that leaves us with the warm countries of the northern hemisphere being the southern United States, Spain, and Italy. So looking at her other dialogue doesn't exactly help, as she doesn't say anything that could hint at potential origin, but there are some things that could help. Like for example, when you clear the forest in World 3 of Poison, she does comment on this is how a forest should be, meaning that she is somewhat accustomed to clean forests. We can probably guess that she grew up around forest. In Damp Oasis, we learned that Kersti can't stand sandstorms, but in the way she says it, she does say it as if she is, accustomed to them and is not fond of them like most people. So, well, that doesn't really cut off anywhere, as southern USA, Spain, and Italy, all get sandstorms. But more important things in Wiggler's treehouse, where she says, "Is there a lift anywhere?" Which is in British English. And since here in Europe we learn British English, and so Kersti would say lift instead of the way people in the United States say it as elevator. So we can cut off the United States as a potential country for our favorite preppy cow gal.
By the way, I don't know if it says elevator in the United States version, but I don't care. I play on the European version, so whatever.
But now, let's look at our other dialogue, which doesn't really help us, as she doesn't really give us any hints of where she would be from. But we do get a hint that she probably isn't from the United Kingdom, which I am using as a basis for Italy. As in most of her dialogue, she doesn't speak as if she's aware of the enemies or species around this fact. In fact, she acts as if they were foreign to her. Like Wiggler, where she acts more like Wiggler is a species, as sure, just shouldn't he be in his treehouse. But she says it in a way as if that's just what Wigglers do as a species as a whole. She doesn't originally seem to know what Goombas are, calling them minions, and even at the start of the game, she also doesn't seem to act as if she's aware of them. And until after Goomba Fortress, she doesn't even seem to be aware of Bowser in the start of the game. And most importantly, at the start of the game, she does actually say that she isn't from here. Meaning that if Kersti isn't from the Mushroom Kingdom, we can knock off Italy, leaving only Spain. So, with that, I conclude that once and for all, Kersti was probably born in Spain. Meaning that, well, yes, she may be, Estonian in origin or ancestry, she would have been born in Spain. Which makes sense given that there are a lot of English tourists there, so her manner of speech, probably would have been copied from there. But if you still want to say Kersti is British, then there's always Gibraltar. But, personally, I'll say from now on, Kersti is indeed Spanish. But other than that, if you like what you saw, like and subscribe, and if not, tell me why in the comments, and I'll see y'all later.